Welcome to This Week in Campbell Basketball. I'm Chris Haymeyer, and this is the first edition of our weekly show exploring everything, both men's and women's basketball here at Campbell. It's been a fantastic start to the season for both the men's and women's team. The men, after winning a tough road game at VMI over the weekend, are now riding a 2-game winning streak into a Charleston tournament coming up this weekend. The women are winners of 2 straight as well. They're now 3-2 on the season. They took down NC Central last week, and then Tuesday, thrilling last-second OT victory at Western Carolina. Michaela Rouse hits this bucket to get the win for Campbell and win number 100 for Campbell first-year head coach Ronny Fisher. Our Bill Priestley caught up with head coach Ronny Fisher to talk about win number 100 and the season so far.
Coach Ronny Fisher, and Coach, 5 games into the year, 3-2. Got to be happy about that. Of course, no one really counts wins and losses in the coaches section unless, of course, you're getting better. So let me ask you that question. From the beginning of this year to now, improvement, how do you grade out this team right now?
Yeah, I tell you, I think we're getting better, and we're competing really hard, and that's been a consistent throughout. We're also, it's taken me a while to find out who needs to be playing and what everybody's role is, and I think we're getting a little better idea of that. And now it's just improving is what we need to do on the offensive end especially.
You've had some success, of course, at the end of games, most recently this past Tuesday at Western Carolina, and got to see some real grit as far as your team is concerned down the stretch and having to deal with an overtime situation on the road too.
Yeah, I tell you, it's tough when you've got a young team, and in practice finding time for last-second situations. That's something that is tough with young teams to find that time. But fortunately, we have practiced some, and we were able to score at the end of the game and did some nice things at the end of the game against Western to come out with that win. So I was really proud of our kids.
50-48 was the final in that one, and that included a 5-minute overtime session. And you've had a couple of games now where you've really limited your opponents as far as your defensive ability is concerned. We talked a little bit about that after the Western game. You actually made that a staple of your tenure at your last spot at Presbyterian. Where does this defensive first mindset come from, and how did it come to you as a coach?
Well, I'll tell you, I worked with Greg Nybert for 11 years, and he's one of the best defensive teachers that are out there. And just the mindset that if you play great defense, then you're always going to have a chance in every game, no matter whether the ball goes in the basket or not. And our kids are buying into that as well. And it's somewhere where your pure effort can be rewarded. And there's no reason our kids shouldn't give 100% effort. And we play smart on defense, and they're taking pride in it. I think they're enjoying that characteristic of our team. And now we've got to do better on execution, and when that starts to happen, hopefully we won't be in overtime games. Hopefully we'll have a little spread there at the end. But we're getting there.
You mentioned to us at the very beginning of the year about the fact that you lost a lot offensively in terms of point production. You're looking to find out who's going to fill those roles. And now, after the Western game at least, you've got 2 players up top, Summer Price, Michaela Rouse, that really stepped up for you, and they've become the leaders of your team offensively.
Yeah, really proud of both of them and the toughness they've shown, and they've both gotten better defensively as well. And Michaela, you know, the last 2 games have been her career highs. And I'm asking her to do something that she has never done before, and it's starting to become more natural for her. But it's really neat to see her blossom as an offensive player as well. And she's also making some great decisions passing the basketball, and she's been a major reason why we've been able to win the last couple games.
And, of course, the Western win, if you didn't catch it earlier, of course, was your 100th win as a head coach. And I know that's got to bring a sense of pride to you, but not only for your performance, but as you mentioned to me, just thinking about the players that have helped you get to that milestone.
Yeah, no doubt. The players and the assistant coaches you know, I'm a very demanding coach, and each player and each assistant that have worked for me have given so much. And when I think of wins, I think of faces and people, not how the game was played out. And just really proud to be associated with so many great people for those 100 wins. And hopefully it won't take me quite as long to get to the next 100.
Well, Coach, good luck on getting to the next 100.
Thanks so much.
All right. Chris, back to you.
Well, Coach, you knew you were going to be a young team coming into this year, but one of your starters, one of your seniors, Kyrie Hamer, has been injured for all of this season so far. You've been forced to play a lot of underclassmen. 6 of your top 7 scorers are underclassmen. 3 of the 5 top are freshmen.
Yeah, I mean, you're never prepared for when someone gets an injury fully, because you start to rely on certain guys being able to do certain things and roles, and then it happens, and then you have to figure it out. And I think we're fortunate that we have good players, and they've been asked to learn more quickly because of Kai being out, and I think they've done well. And I think we're going to be better in the long run because of that experience.
You talk about young players. Sometimes you have to look at the roster again. Chris Clemens is only a sophomore. Last year, the Big South Conference Freshman of the Year, a first-team All-Conference as well this year. And, boy, he has really even taken the next step. He's averaging over 23 points per game.
Yeah, he's doing a really nice job, Chris. He's he's starting to mature a little bit. I think we saw it a little bit in that VMI game, just really starting to come into his own as far as his voice on our team, and I think that really is the next step for him as we continue to develop and as a team, but also him personally is starting to take that leadership role as an on-the-court voice for us. And he's obviously a terrific player, and he's off to a really good start, and that's with teams keying on him and knowing he's the guy. So I'm encouraged. Obviously, when we get Kyrie back, there'll be another guy to worry about, which I think will be good for Chris.
You're riding a 2-game win streak right now, going into a fun weekend down in Charleston. I guess fun for us that get to watch and broadcast the game, maybe not so much for the players and the coaches. 3 games in 3 days at a neutral site. This is something that'll really prepare you guys for the conference tournament in the future.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the way we're kind of trying to approach it, is thinking about it as a 3-game, 3-day, which really mirrors what conference tournament play is when you can survive in advance. And there's something about having to prepare in a different way than you're used to that I think is going to be good for us to have to experience. Going and obviously you get your normal preparation for game 1, USC Upstate, but then you have Colgate and Citadel coming right behind, and in those cases you're preparing with much less time, much less on court, and obviously in a lot of cases you couldn't really physically handle doing much more, but you have to prepare in more of a mental way, and I think that'll be good for us to experience and hopefully learn from and apply well.
Those games coming up this weekend. Campbell will be at the Citadel in the Charleston Holy City Classic. You can catch them on 88.3 FM Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The Campbell women's basketball team returns home on Tuesday to take on East Tennessee State. Tip-off time, 7 p.m. here in Gore Arena. We hope to see you at the game. If not, we will talk to you next week on This Week in Campbell Basketball.